All right, welcome back. Have I got a killer show for you today, or I hope an excellent show for you today? We are talking about what I think is the most powerful, the best, the strongest language arts curriculum you can have for gifted or struggling students, both of which you're going to be like, what? I'm going to be like, yes. And this is from someone who bought pretty much every single curriculum that there is out there, Christian and secular. I'm going to tell you what I think the strongest is. So, and I also have a child who is amazing linguistically and one who's not. So just so you know, covering all the bases today. So we are talking about creative writing, narration, oral and written. We are talking about reading for enjoyment. We are talking about reading to learn or learning to read. We're talking about critical thinking. We are talking about reading fluency. We are talking about grammar. We're talking about vocab, handwriting, and composition. Okay, so yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so first up, the perfect curriculum, quote unquote perfect curriculum that I have found is an eclectic curriculum based on a lot of different products from a lot of different curriculums. So that's what I'm going to show you today. Okay, so first up, let's talk vocab. You can do vocab a lot of different ways, right? You can. Vocab can be done. A lot of times, some of these books I'm going to show you has vocab in them as well discussed. But another product that I really, really like is this. This is the Storyteller's Word a Day for 3rd to 5th grade. And this is bicker. To argue over silly things, like sisters arguing about nothing. And then you flip it over and you have word pairs: to bicker constantly, bicker playfully, bicker childishly. To argue over silly things, that's the definition. You have synonyms: argue, squabble, fight. You have an example from a book that it was in. You could tell a story about bickering, and it's used in 1% of stories. Okay, so yeah, bicker. And then after that, you can do, we got discussed. So kind of cool. 3rd to 5th grades, but I use it for a bit younger. Okay, now let's talk about creative writing. Creative writing, so I bought the entire Brave Writer series. I bought the whole series. And I've done videos, and I could attach a video on the end of what I recommend from them and what I don't. But essentially, what I do not recommend is you buy the actual Brave Writer program, the Brave Writer course. It's not a course, it's a book. That's essentially what you're buying, a book that you would just buy off Amazon in a sense. I mean, it's written by Julie and she writes great books, but I'm talking you're paying $79 for it. It's not necessary. I bought it, and I bought the Quill and Arrow programs. Those programs are amazing. To buy the Quill program, the Arrow program, those are amazing. But essentially what I learned from them, the main takeaway is that when it comes to creative writing, what you want to do when your children are young and is essentially not edit their work. So just have them dictate a story to you orally when they're younger, written when they're older. And so, for example, and then you dictate it, like you type it out for them, right? Or you write it out for them. So one of the things that I recommend you do is choose something that's fun for them. So example would be Paw Patrol. Let's talk about Paw Patrol. What do you think? And then just randomly have a conversation about Paw Patrol. You can even take a bunch of little characters, and when you're at the doctor's office, the dentist, be like, and then each do a line. Okay, so you're building a story together, and each one of you are going to do a line. So you're going to say, Marshall and I want to go to the moon. But then they say, but then, you know what I mean? Like, so you're basically creating a story, kind of like a conversation, a creative conversation. And then that's kind of how we started. And then it grew from there. So what it grew to is now writing storybooks about characters that they love, that they're interested in, that they have online, or toys that they love. And we write mini stories. They tell me a story and I type it out for them. And then they can add pictures, they can add graphics like using Canva and things like that. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty fun. Both kids enjoy that. Now, in a lot of Charlotte Mason type things is you would read a story. So you would read a story like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, which is fine. This is another way to do it. Goldilocks and the Three Bears, Cinderella, and then have them retell the story to you. Well, what happened? What do you think happened then? Ooh, what just happened? This time I'm not worried about the comprehension. This time I'm just specifically addressing creative writing. Okay, so let's move on. Let's talk grammar. I have a couple different grammar options for you because every good language arts program has a grammar. Now, just keep in mind that do you need to do all these elements? No, you do not. It's your homeschool. You can decide. Perhaps you found an all-in-one that you love. That's great. That's great. That's great. We just love linguistics And we had to separate language arts programs just because we were behind in handwriting. So that's a big thing when it comes to a lot of homeschools and a lot of language arts programs. Okay, so take a look at this. So these are your two options. You have grammar and punctuation, my favorite, from Evan Moore, but you also have easy grammar. Easy grammar, very good. Now look at easy grammar. So let me show you easy grammar. So every day, right, day 23, capitalization. Oh my gosh, I have food on my bed, of course. Capitalization, you know, talking about the days of the week, capitalization, correcting a statement. Now this is page 23. And then it also has, you can trace the letter. I like this. You can trace the words or write the words. That's kind of why I like this. A word may have 5 letters. That's the lesson today, right? So there's always a heart, there's always a lesson. Like the first lesson would be, one of the first lessons is a noun names a person. Okay, so very simple, very interesting. That's day 7. Let's go down to day 1. Capitalization, the word I. This tells you to make a tall letter. I play, I am big. So you're correcting that, right? You circle that and correct that. I played, right? So you get it, you get it, you get it. So kind of cool. Easy grammar, easy. This is grammar and punctuation. This I love more. So rule 1, let's start with rule 1. Sometimes there's handwriting in here, sometimes there's not. So rule 1 is a sentence is a whole thought. The dog ran, Bob hits the ball. Not a sentence, the dog hits the ball. Okay, so you're following me. You're following me. Okay, so this is grammar. Grammar, it's got punctuation in here too. A sentence that tells something needs a period at the end. See the fat cat, the bell rang. 6 children sang a song. All right, so I quite like that as well. This may be page a day to some people. I don't do page a day, but it's got 25 important grammar and punctuation rules, 75 practice pages. Yeah, and I like it. Okay, so let's talk. After that, let's talk learn to read. What about actual learn to read? Because some people love, I'm trying to dig out the books here. Some people love Explode the Code. That's fine. So whatever program you love. This is what I love. This is for struggling readers, but anyone can use it because I have used it for multiple children and then I put them back on. Some of them stayed on this system and some of them I switched them over to the Abeka readers. I think the Abeka readers are fantastic because I have a whole stack here. So I bought them all up to grade 4, I think. And when they get, this is 2H. So the 2 is the year and then the H would be, because it goes A, B, C, D. By the time you get to H, I mean, it's really interesting learning about where Jesus grew up. That's the easy Bible reader, sorry. Not showing you that today. Quest for adventure. The older you get, the more interesting the stories get. That's 2B. So understand when they're first like 1A, B, and C. I used to say these books are amazing, but people misunderstood that the first 3 are amazing. The first 3 are not that amazing because you're dealing with the fat rat, Pat's cat. You know what I mean? Like 6 duck eggs. I mean, it's kind of cute because they have a bunch of different types of ducks and different colors, but it's not that thrilling, right? But still good. So whatever phonics program you like and learning to read, right? Rat, sat, elemental phonics, very good too. Rat, fat, sat, mat. So whatever you like. Now this to me is just too complicated because like, look when you get down here, they got some rules going on that are a little too, where are the rules? Where are the rules? Anytime they have, oh, this is, maybe it's not this curriculum. I mean, we use this every day. So, oh yeah. When there is one vowel in a word, it usually says the short sound, pet, fed, med. And when there are 2 vowels in a word, it usually has like the long sound and the second vowel is silent. To me, that's too complicated. To me, having used both systems, again, I've used all the reading systems. It's not like I haven't tried them all, AAR, all of them. These things were not necessary and are a little too complicated. That's just my opinion. That's neither here nor there. But what I found easier is woof for watch, fox, yak. You know what I mean? Like, so it's got to start stand in front of the child, hold the card up high. You want them looking up, chin down, eyes up. Talk about the card as you hold it up. After a few seconds, put the card down. And you repeat this 5 times. So it's not every day. I mean, not like in one day. R. For car. This is a mnemonic device helping kids remember these sounds. Okay, so if you have a child who has a problem, any problem at all, this is going to help. This is Craft Right Brain Readers. What? That's not that book. Where's the Craft Right Brain book? It's over here. Okay, So I've showed you this system probably 100 times by now, but I'll show you again, just in case it's your first video with me. Is that a worm or is that a snake? Okay. Now, this is the very first book. So I started teaching them at 7. No, I started before. It's just it didn't click till 7. But I started before. I spent a long time with different systems, and I'm telling you, I tried them all. Is a my, fat, pat, rat, sat. Okay, so these words are in here. These are the only words that they have to learn how to stand out. Fat, pat, rat, sat. And then, oh my gosh, you can read a story. Then they read a story. So they're the boring little books that always work. And then it adds on. Okay, then 2 more words from here. And a new word. And then their stories get even more complex. So it really is the simplest reading system I've ever found. There's a ton more stuff that go with this system. I just never did it. Like, I have it all and I tried it, but it's really intensive. So people ask me, did you get the whole system? Yeah, I got the whole system. But did I use the whole system? No, I did not. I've used the flashcards and this book. So if you're having any problems at all, do that. And then I switched one of them off. That one of them's still on it. And then we'll switch to the Abeka readers. The Abeka readers, let me show you some Abeka readers. Let me get some. I have some teacher's manuals and some without teacher's manuals so that you can see. This is the teacher manual. Technically, you could get just the teacher's manual because it does cover the story in it. So it does cover the story, but it has like kindness and different things like, so it's got more to it, right? But the story is in there, but it's just got, the teacher's manual just has more. So I'm not saying it's not great. Sure, it's great. However, some of us can't afford a teacher's manual or don't want to spend the money for a teacher's manual for every single one of these books, and you do not need it. You 100% do not need it. So let's look at this one. This is one of my favorites, 2F. So interesting. Growing up in early America. It's by Abeka. So you get to see it from a Native American, him and his little sister and stuff like that. Super interesting. He meets a pilgrim. He meets Gwen. Yeah, so like I said, very interesting. This is grade 2, 2F. Again, I go at the pace of the student, right? So see how they're all labeled 2A, 2B, 2C, 2G. So very interesting, but let's go into further. I want to show you some more stuff into these books. So what's interesting about these books too is they have different, so there's Aesop Fables, of course, is one book. They have different families that you'll follow and different themes. The stories have themes. So these are all, this is the whole reading program, right? It goes up to 7 to 12. But what it has, if you flip open here, oh, it usually has it. It might have it in the other ones. Where is it? So, yeah. Okay, so you're going to follow families, different, like one, I think in grade 1 it has twins. But anyway, very interesting stories, but it deals with like compassion in some of these stories, God's creation in some of these stories. When these kids have problems, they ask God for help. So just very good morals, faithfulness, taking care of the minutes, different things, right? So different themes that are going on in this. In prayer, Jesus walks on the water. So it has a lot of different stories that your children progress to. Okay, so you get it, but these books are pricey. You're talking $14 a book. You do get 100 pages with them, and they do have questions at the end. So there is like reading comprehension, which is important, right? Oh, Beatrix Potter. I'm really glad that they save it to 2E because I found Beatrix Potter for the younger kids, which I understand a lot of people read them to younger kids, not that good. Unless you get the ones by Emma Thompson. Those ones are great. But beyond that, just no. So by the time your kids get up here, but through the first year, they got a lot of little words they're working on too as you go through. So words to watch for A, but then do you know, so they do have questions at the end, right? So they're pretty much useful without the teacher's manual. Duck, rock, jack, neck. It's equals it is. So great system. I quite love it. But also people talk about, do I like Abeka more than BJU Press? I use Abeka more than BJU Press, but that's just, yeah, that's just the way it is. But this 2A is my favorite so far. So this is 2B, reading 2A and reading 2B. So some people read this, have the kids read this. I do not. I read it to them because look what it has. So this teaches you different points about stories. So let me go through. So let me get to the beginning. Okay, so the Firekeeper, we are talking about setting. That's what we're learning in this story. That's kind of what the element we're focusing on is a setting. So they have different elements like characters, rhyming. And so they talk about it. And then there's a story. They have a think as you read. It's funny. I've never heard of realistic fiction before. But, I mean, I get what they're saying. So, yeah. So, anyway, this is a guy, story, da-da-da, whatever. Okay, so good story. At the end, it's got some words. And it has questions. So again, you don't really need a teacher's manual for this one either. This is BJU Press, the 3rd edition, reading 2B, Hearts and Hands. I think it's excellent. Excellent. Okay, so let's talk what's next. Okay, now we're going to talk reading fluency, which is how fast you say words, right? Like, are you a little, I don't know, how fast your sentences go. This is Reading Pathways, the 5th edition. You can buy it for $15 online, used. Let's open it up. And it's, again, another good reading. I mean, they're all good reading things. But, okay, so take a look at this. Cat. Cat. Fa, fat. Sa, sat. See, pretty straightforward. I don't like those little symbols. I don't get what they mean. And I've taught several kids to read, and I still don't know what those mean. And you don't need to, so don't feel intimidated. And if you do, good for you. It doesn't hurt you. So only the complete sentences have periods at the end. Read the lines. The rest of the lines are only phrases. So this little bumblebee occasionally has advice. Sometimes I read it. Most of the time I do. Jan's fat cat Max. Okay, so you get it. So by the time it gets down, you're reading pretty fluently a sentence, right? By the time you get down there, Jan's fat cat Max socks on dad's hat. It's improving your fluency, okay? Now, because there's certain patterns with language, so if you do it a few times, it should just these patterns should flow together more. Now, what's interesting is I asked my ADHD child to read, and one day he was mad, and he goes, "Fine, Jan, fat, cat." I was like, that's adorable. But let's try it again. Come on, I need at least those 2 sentences. No, I need those 2 sentences. I know, but those 2 sentences are not going to read themselves. Yeah, I have a whole video on dealing with children who are not easy. If you want to watch it, you go ahead. Anyway, so there you go. There you go. It has those words, and then you read those. I usually don't read those anymore. We just go right to here because they are reading. Okay. Lastly, and I hope I covered everything in this video. Oh, here's another one that I wanted to show you, which is Once Upon a Word origin dictionary for kids. So it does have the beginning of like Latin and where these origins come from. It's interesting. I love nomenclature, however, apparently not that much because I'm like, eh. But it's got accuse. To accuse someone of wrongdoing is to blame them for it. Like many words have to do with crimes and laws. So it's just vocab, right? So kind of interesting, kind of like word a day. Some people just have their kids like pick out a couple words that they want to discuss that day. Whatever you got. Oh, and then there's, of course, Explode the Code, which is pretty. This is number 4. If you haven't done the first couple, you can still jump on number 4. At least I have. Yeah, so jumping, right? Just to teach compound words and stuff, which... Okay, now, before I get to the final book, which is recommended by the Center for Gifted Learning, let me talk about why I'm not doing spelling yet. I'm not doing spelling till they get a little older. So this current perfect curriculum that I'm describing to you does not have spelling. Now, also, how do I implement this is I have a giant box, and they read to me every day. So those books, the readers, they're going to read to me every day. They're going to handwrite every day, too. So handwriting without tears, or using the easy grammar, or just in their notebook. If a child's having trouble handwriting, highlight the spot where they're to copy the word. Like in copy word, highlight it. It helps some brains write it down. And Craft Right Brain Readers also has like where you do these circles to try and close the right and left hemispheres. If your child needs that, which I don't know, whatever, use it, don't use it. Yeah, so how do I do this system is I put it all into a bin, all these books, the Reading Pathways, the Grammar and Punctuation, the BJU Press one. I have it in a basket, and then for lunch for a couple of weeks, we'll focus on this. When I've knocked that out, toss it back, and then I'll pull that out for lunch a couple of weeks. We'll go through this, you know what I mean? And then I'll do it again, maybe a second time just to see if it's all, because we do a lot of things orally. It's a lot easier for children orally till they're 10 and 11 to come to you and speak to you orally and give you oral answers. And that's a big skill to have. And it starts early by saying, hey, like just talking to them about stories, like Little Bears and Goldilocks. Hey, wow, what did she think? You know, like not yes and no questions, but ooh, what happened after the bed? After the beds, what'd she do in the kitchen or something like that? Like the questions can be small. And same with, that's why these stories are important, because they have questions that the children can answer just to see how their comprehension is doing. At least I have a child that is unbelievable at comprehension, and that's one of the reasons why. But this is also right here. This is comprehension. So I would focus on this for a couple weeks at lunch, perhaps if I felt. Usually I rotate between them, but I mean, it doesn't matter. It's neither here nor there. So this is Jacob's Ladder. This is one which is for grades 2 and 3, and what it is. So I'm going to show you. It's a ladder that you go up. So you start at the bottom. It picks a story. So you read a story. This is the dove and the ant, right? The ant's on the water. Dove, I think, drops something down or rescues him somehow, something like that. So you're going to start down here. List the events in the order they occur in the story. What are the cause and effect? There are several cause and effect relationships to the fable. Complete the chart below. So, and then for example, like because someone knocked the ant into the water, something happened or whatever, okay? And then third is, what are the overall consequences of the dove's actions? Okay, and then next you can do this. They can continue up it, and you'll notice as your kids get older, they can do more. So you can read this more than once. This book, I will tell you, was not cheap. Even used was like 25 bucks. However, what are some images you picture when you read this fable? Which phrases support those pictures? List at least 4. Like I wouldn't necessarily include that. But so we just do this as, again, discussion. Classifications, because the youngest can't do too many of these. What are the good turns that occurred in the fable? And generalizations. So classifications, generalizations. So all these questions are different. Like the generalizations, one good turn deserves another, is a generalization about this fable. Write another generalization. So that's the toughest, right? So as your kid gets older, that's the toughest, right, to do. If you ask me, because I'm like, huh? So then another story, and again, sequencing. What are the steps did the crow use to get the water, right? Because this is the one where he dropped a bunch of pebbles in, right? So they use Aesop fables. As you'll notice, a lot of times in younger years, they use Aesop fables. Okay, so then cause and effect, up and up and up and up and up. Okay, so that is Jacob's Ladder, reading comprehension program. Also keep in mind, what I did not include is that to include a lot of reading times. If your kids do not like reading, say they don't like reading with you, they're bored when you read, da-da-da, whatever, take away their TV, or don't take it away, but like limit it till, say, after 3. So for the first couple of days, they're going to be a lot of screaming, understandably, right? Because TV's a good time. Like maybe while they eat, they watch TV. I get it. So then they have nothing but absolute boredom while they eat. And then they just got to eat, and you got to sit there, all be bored together, be like, well, we're doing this for our brains. And then after 3 days, pull out a book, a picture book. I don't have a picture book here to show you. Any picture book, and just start reading. Hold up the pictures, start reading. So no, I don't eat with them. And just, I eat by them. Like maybe I'll eat some other time, but not, I'm reading, I'm working during that time. And then just start reading some type of picture book. Even kids all the way up to like 10 and 11. Picture books are very interesting, very educational. There's a lot of good ones, a lot of fun ones out there. And yeah, and go from there. And there you go. It'll open up a whole new world, because then all of a sudden you're the television. You are the television. So picking books that are good for them, that are on bestseller reading lists. I have them all the different reading book groups you can think. And so on my channel, that's why I tell you so many when I'm like, this is a good book, this is a good book, because I've read a lot of crap. Like must be 100 books a week from the library. Not that many. Now they're getting older and we're reading more read alouds, but there's a lot of crap out there. Like, holy cow. But there's also really, really good ones every once in a while. So anyway, and then sometimes I'll read a lot of Star Wars, some Minecraft. I don't read too much Minecraft. Those are the audiobooks. But I do read a fair bit of Star Wars books, let me tell you. And I have read a fair bit of Paw Patrol books in my time. So anyway, I hope that helps. I hope that helps you come up with the eclectic curriculum of what you like, what you don't like. And yeah. Oh, another book, for example, a really great book is How to Make a Picture Book. How to Make a Picture Book is excellent. How to Make a Picture Book, got it at the library. It's just telling you story math. Choose 2 ideas of things, 2 of your favorite things. So this guy writes down a bunch of his favorite stuff right here. He's like, I like donuts, I like bears, I like aliens. And then he picks 2 of them to put together, and it equals story math. And then it tells you about characters. He chooses a setting. They have to have a problem, so they solve a problem. So yeah, how to make a picture book. So that's interesting for kids. I mean, it got my kids excited to make a picture book, which I was surprised, but it did. All right, I'm done. I've talked so much. I hope you tune back in. Thank you for subscribing, and please let someone else know about this channel. I would really appreciate it. Take care.